be effective inside and just kill them, with death by paper cut or something like that. And get to the free throw line, which is what they're doing. I love the fact that they don't rely on the three. They can shoot it, but they don't rely on it. And I think it gives you a lot of options when we get to the NCAA tournament. Let me throw this real quick. Carolina kind of a little slow in the first half, had a nice lead, but nothing earth-shattering, and then crank up the pressure and just wore out Wagner?
Yeah, it certainly seemed like that. I mean, ultimately, this looks like a totally fine, result for 1 versus 16 seed. I continue to be like a little. I think we talked about this maybe last week or in previous weeks. Like it's a tough game for Elliot Cadeau yesterday. 0 of 2 shooting, 4 turnovers in 18 minutes, and they don't really have like a shooter to bring off the bench necessarily
Right.
to sort of like bolster that. Like they have good lineup versatility at UNC, but like it is a little limited. And we'll see if that ends up being like at this point it's just something to monitor. I think game to game for them. Cadeau's really good. Like he's had a good season. Incredible passer. His drives are really important to them. But he kind of has a target on him in terms of like who can you help off of? How can you defend him? I thought State really took advantage of that in the tournament championship game. So I'm not too worried about that for UNC. Like they problem solved around that all year and have a very, very good offensive team, top 20 offense. It does sort of go to show you like the shooting of RJ Davis can solve a lot of, simplifies things pretty easily when you have a guy like that can shoot like that off the catch and off the dribble.
All right, let's get to Duke before we have to say goodbye to Brian Geisinger at bgeis_bird. Vermont's a really good defensive team. They make you work for everything. Duke has not shown the compete level that their head coach wants them to show the last couple of games. They have no other option tonight, no?
Yeah, I mean, it really is, now or never. You don't want to dip too hard into the bag of cliches here. But I would say a team like Duke that's going to have, a size advantage here, certainly a big talent advantage. Like they could very easily put the last 2 games, the UNC and the State game behind them pretty quickly if they just come out and sort of just like dominate Vermont, and go ahead and just get on to the next round. Which I think if they do that, I think it would be Wisconsin or James Madison. I think they get the winner of that. So like, I don't know. I hope for Duke's sake, I hope the offense looks good. They haven't played in a while. And I think the news yesterday, no Caleb Foster for the rest of the tournament. That was no real surprise. He's been out since the loss in Winston to Wake. I've brought this up I think twice now on the show. Like, it feels like his loss hasn't been talked about enough. Like he's a 40% 3-point shooter. Mm-hmm. He's another ball handler. He operates pick and roll. His drives have been good for them this season. So like, I don't know. Like he's a guy that it's tough. You lose a 6'4" point guard like that can do a bunch offensively and is like an okay defender. It's tough. But they'll just need the guys to step up and hopefully, Filipowski get the offense running through him, get Jared McCain coming off screens, and go to, get to the 2-man game with Proctor and Flip and with Roach and Flip.
Yeah, because all year long, Duke's been a 3-guard team. And when you're missing Caleb Foster, you don't have, I guess they could use Jalen Blakes, right? Coming off the bench, and he would be their first guard off the bench. But John doesn't seem like that's what he wants to do. So they're bringing, whether it's usually Sean Stewart, right? Somebody like that is coming off the bench. In certain situations, they're using T.J. Power, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Young is kind of, his minutes have almost always been Filipowski, Mitchell, foul trouble dependent of late. Which is fair because Ryan Young doesn't really make a huge difference in most cases. But in a game like tonight, you would think that Young would be a plus because Vermont isn't going to bring a ton of size and resistance inside. It should be a game much like State versus Oakland that if Duke does it right, get to the rim, get to the free throw line, and not necessarily rely on the three. But if the threes come, doesn't this really all boil down to Jeremy Roach?
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like, well, at least like beyond this game, assuming
Right.
Duke continues to advance, just Roach's his shot making, the 2-man game with Filipowski, how useful that is. Like, they're just going to need Roach, as he's done before in multiple postseason venues now. Like, he's going to have to get into his bag a little bit and bust up a bunch of different coverages and he's capable of doing that, obviously. So, yeah, I do think, Roach, this is a big opportunity for him. He's a senior guard at Duke, all-ACC type player, and he's proven in the postseason. He just kind of got to do it again. And they've got methods to get him going. Like, the 2-man stuff with Flip is pretty bankable. But I do think you got it, just as far as Vermont, you were talking about their defense, they're tough. This is one of the best defensive rebounding teams in the country. Top 10 in defensive rebounding rate. They don't foul much. Obviously, Duke is a different kind of monster. This is not UMBC or NJIT. This is a different talent level and size to contend with. But basically they take care of the small things on the defensive end. And it'd just be interesting to see if Duke can sort of reverse some of those trends, get to the line, put them in foul trouble, and also can guys like Flip and Mitchell and maybe Young or Stewart off the bench kind of get going on the glass as well.
I haven't asked you this, but as I say goodbye, did you pick a Final Four?
So I did not, but that is because the bracket that I do, which is with a group of dentists up in Michigan.
Wait. Hold on a second. You do a bracket with a group of dentists in Michigan.
Some of them may be retired now.
That's fine.
It's with my godfather.
It's fine. No, it's good.
Michigan State fan.
You don't have to explain it. I just wanted to get that on the record.
Yeah, but we do it round by round style.
Okay.
It's nice because you're not, if you have a bad day or whatever in the first round, it's okay. You're not out of it. And the further you go into it, the more weighted each round is. So it's kind of nice because you don't have to just freak out about worrying about everything going down the tube the first day. So I don't have a Final Four. If I had to predict one though, it would be very, very chalky. It would be UConn, Houston, Arizona or UNC, and I don't know about the Midwest. I mean, that does kind of feel wide open. So.
I basically picked what I want to see happen. Although I'm kind of a hybrid. I don't want to watch Purdue play basketball, so I picked them to lose in the second round. I have no interest in watching them play. Brian Geisinger, you're the best, man. I appreciate your time as always at bgeis_bird. We will talk to you soon.
Yep, take it easy, guys.
You got it. Brian Geisinger here on the Adam Gold Show. It's time for questions and answers. One-timers next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
ACT Construction Equipment is proud to be your certified local Takeuchi dealer in Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Asheville, Wilmington, and Myrtle Beach. Takeuchi has long been a world leader in the compact construction industry. Let ACT Construction Equipment help you find the right machine for the job. Our full line of excavators, track loaders, and attachments are designed for low maintenance and high productivity. Stop in today for a demo or visit us online at actce.com. ACT Construction Equipment, your authorized Takeuchi dealer.
Are you taking care of someone on Medicare? Navigating Medicare can be overwhelming. You're not alone. The NC Department of Insurance SHIP program can help you figure out what steps to take and when. SHIP counselors can answer your questions. Visit ncship.com or call toll-free at 855-408-1212. SHIP provides free, unbiased help in all 100 counties.
Project supported by grants from the Administration for Community Living. Contents do not necessarily represent official views of, nor an endorsement by ACL, HHS, or the U.S. government.
North Carolina, we are finally in it. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, is officially live here in our great state. And right now, new customers get $250 in bonus bets guaranteed when you wager your first $5. That's right. Go to FanDuel.com, promo code AGS to sign up, and then you can bet on everything from the money line, who's going to win, total points, which team will cut the nets down, all on an app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Take the court with $250 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you make your first $5 wager. FanDuel.com, promo code AGS to get started. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. You must be 21 years of age and older and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Everyone goes through tough times, and everyone can get through them, as long as they don't have to do it alone. Dial 988 if you need someone to talk to. Get what you need to get to a better place. Together, we'll find the care that works best for you. We're here 24/7. Call, text, or chat 988. 988. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
This year, more than 600,000 people are eligible for coverage under the new Medicaid expansion program passed by the North Carolina State Legislature. This means that more people than ever before qualify for services. Brian Floyd is the Chief Operating Officer of ECU Health and discusses these issues on this month's Conversations on Healthcare podcast with the North Carolina Healthcare Association.
Rural communities are affected even more because people who don't have insurance will seek out care in the emergency department. We really want people to get Medicaid expansion, get to see a primary care doctor, and avoid the use of an emergency department that consumes those resources that might really be needed for true emergencies.
You can listen to the rest of this discussion on Conversations on the State of Healthcare podcast with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Learn more about Medicaid expansion and other important healthcare issues at nchealthcare.org. That's nchealthcare.org.
During this sports season, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling to and from athletic events. Whether you are driving out of or across town, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. Start the season off right. Prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. Remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message is brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
This is Adam Gold.
There are two groups of people who do not really know how college sports works. One are fans. It's not your job. And the other, people who get paid to represent citizens of the United States on Capitol Hill.
The Adam Gold Show.
For what it's worth, I went 12-4 in my in the 16 games yesterday. Only losses were Kentucky, McNeese State, Colorado State, and Nevada.
Okay.
Nevada had a 17-point lead with 7.5 minutes to go and lost.
Wow.
Kansas also had a 17-point lead with about that much time and hung on against Samford. I mean,
you just never know.
Run through the tape, as they say. Run through the tape. Right now, Northwestern and Florida Atlantic are setting the game of basketball back decades. 16-12, 4 minutes to go in the first half.
Wow, 16-12.
Yes. Actually, I believe that's when they're pretending this game is being played.
Oh, yeah.
In 16-12.
There you go. Do you see horse and carriages everywhere?
Everywhere. Everywhere. No electricity.
None.
All right, Q&A time. One-timers. We had no one-timer goals yesterday.
I know.
No, we did. Jalen Chatfield's goal was a one-timer.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
There you go. Well, speaking of the Canes, in a game that many thought, because there is a lot of basketball going on, in case people didn't realize that, you may not have watched the Canes game. So what looked to be their main struggle, considering that a lot of people thought maybe this game would be easy?
You shouldn't think any game's going to be easy ever. Phillies playing for their playoff lives. Hurricanes are playing for position. That's really a different animal. Carolina just, they had a hard time managing the puck. I thought Philly came out maybe a little bit more with a little bit more intensity. I thought it was an even first period. Nobody scored a goal. Really did. I didn't hate the first period from an effort standpoint. Second period, even though the Hurricanes had a 2-1 lead, they were kind of messy.
Yeah.
Freddie Anderson was the best player in the game. Still, I don't get how he wasn't a star. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to teach me what I'm watching.
Yeah. Right.
He was the best player. And they trotted out Carolina had some guys play well, but no, he should have been a star. Freddie saved them. They had some good defensive plays other than that. And they really capitalized on their opportunities. There wasn't a ton.
Yeah.
There wasn't a ton for Carolina. They just didn't quite match what Philly had.
Yeah. Well, tonight they are in Washington taking on the Capitals. And even with so many people out on the Capitals, and they had a little bit of a struggle in the earlier part of the season, but now they're kind of red hot, and Ovechkin is scoring a whole bunch.
He is.
So what is going to be the most dangerous factor for them, even with them kind of having a lighter roster?
Complacency, honestly. Ovechkin scoring goals, I don't see Ovechkin scoring goals like he used to.
No.
He is 1,000, so... And he's old.
He is.
But he's not scoring goals the way he used to. No TJ Oshie tonight. No Tom Wilson tonight, who's going to be suspended for a long time probably. I wouldn't be surprised if that suspension was 7 games.
Wow, yeah.
He swung his stick at a guy.
You
just can't do that. And we could debate all day long whether he tried to actually hit this guy in the face, but he swung his stick.
Yeah.
And he hit him in the face.
Yeah, that's a no-no.
And when the league invites you to an in-person hearing, they're not inviting you because, man, we would love to just say hi.
Right. Do you want some sandwiches and tea?
Right. They're inviting you to suspend you for a long time.
Exactly.
Washington's missing some guys. I think what the Carolina's biggest problem, one, Darcy Kemper's playing very well, and the other part is that you can be complacent, and Washington is playing a certain way. They've split the 2 games that they've already. This is the third, not the final game. They will play again in Raleigh, but they lost a shootout. By the way, Yevgeny Kuznetsov scored the only shootout goal in the shootout that they lost.
There you go.
Yeah.
I hope he shows up in a big way tonight.
Yeah. Tough game for him tonight.
Yeah, it is. Well, and probably last up for today, so Duke taking on Vermont. Who on Duke's team really needs to show up? Maybe you might be concerned that they won't, but who do you really think needs to show up in today's game against Vermont?
Right. Brian Geisinger was right about long term for this team. They're only going to go as far as Jeremy Roach takes them. Today, it's about making sure their bigs get going. Kyle Filipowski, Mark Mitchell, those guys need to score. Brian Murphy joins us next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and do you have a late-night craving for in-depth analysis on the Carolina Hurricanes and their latest game, their latest win, their pursuit of the Stanley Cup? Well, I can quench your thirst. I can feed that appetite on the Canes Corner podcast, the morning after edition, which drops the morning after every Hurricanes game. Get it wherever you get your podcast. Brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. Attention all contact lens wearers. Are you tired of wasting time and wasting money every single day? Putting contacts in, taking contacts out, cleaning, looking for glasses, needing replacement lenses, needing prescription sunglasses, all of that. I could go on and on. Let me introduce you to Dr. Lori Travers and Travers LASIK. They are your answers to the questions, how can I save time and money? 5 minutes per eye. Dr. Lori put me on the path to 20/20 vision. Totally painless. You can go back to work the very next day, and 2 years zero interest financing is available. Also, right now, you can save $1,000. TraversLASIK.com. Go check it out. All you got to do, go there, Set up a free consultation or call 919-510-6830. Make the call now. 919-510-6830. Travers LASIK. See what you've been missing. Travers LASIK. They can help.
Getting your biggest tax refund from Jackson Hewitt can lead to some spirited reactions.
Jackson Hewitt! Yeah!
Jackson Hewitt is so sure they'll get you your biggest refund that if they don't, you get your money back plus $100.
Jackson Hewitt! Yeah!
Switch to Jackson Hewitt and we'll beat what you paid last year, even if you filed online.
Yeah!
Ain't nothing to it. Switch to Jackson Hewitt and pay less for tax prep, guaranteed. Proof of prior year payment required when filing. New clients only at participating locations through April 7th. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Hey guys, sound familiar? Your energy's not the same. The weight's starting to creep up. You're a little forgetful. And to make matters worse, you're not sleeping well. Well, it could be low T, but you shouldn't go one more day dealing with these symptoms. Help is available at QC Kinetics. They'll help diagnose the issue and get you back to feeling like yourself again. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. They use biologic treatments encouraging your body to optimize the hormone levels you need to boost stamina, provide more mental clarity, and improve your metabolism. It starts with a complimentary consultation and comprehensive exam. One quick office visit, and you'll have next steps to swing those hormone levels back into balance. All using the protocols QC Kinetics is known for around the country. Most importantly, you'll be back to yourself, and that's important. So call right now for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 919-400-5473. That's 919-400-5473. Located in Raleigh, 919-400-5473.
I think it's just vapor. Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as one pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous. 5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Are you a veteran currently serving in the National Guard or Reserves, or a spouse of a veteran looking to make a career change? The Department of Labor is offering no-cost employment workshops to help you. Visit dol.gov/OBTT workshops, paid for by U.S. Department of Labor.
This hour of Buzz Sports Radio is brought to you by the Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
Jeremy on the drive, all the way in, off the win, number 2! The captain delivers!
Go to GotBryan.com. That's GotBryan.com.
Your home for Duke basketball. WCMC HD2 HD3 Holly Springs, WDNC AM Durham, and WCLY AM Raleigh. The Buzz.
But yes, Florida State and Clemson do not wish to be a part of the Atlantic Coast Conference for the next phase of high-level college football and high-level college athletics. Whether the end is nigh probably depends a lot more on how much money they end up settling for. The only way that I'm willing to jump all the way to the end is nigh, like total Pac-12 of the like Pac-12 style, is if ESPN in its look-in window decides it doesn't need the ACC network anymore.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. That was Chip Patterson from Wednesday's show. By the way, quick update from the NCAA tournament. Northwestern is on a 4-2 run over the last 2.5 minutes, and they now trail 18-16 late in the first half. Peach baskets have been brought out. So,
oh, boy.
Yeah.
Stepping up.
We're stepping back. Stepping back. Holy cow, this is a tough watch. It's a tough watch, man.
Well, this is a time to go get lunch before the other games, I guess.
But if we had a camera, we could see Tony Bennett in his house going to get popcorn because he's enjoying this.
Right.
Oh,
it's a good time.
Boy, there's some bad basketball being played. Brian Murphy, WRAL Sports investigative reporter at Murph's Turf on Twitter, joining us. Not only just to say hi and talk about the Tar Heels being great and future national champions, but more importantly to talk about the hearing that is going on today where Florida State and the ACC are squaring off. And let me just start here. What is the basis for this hearing? Is this about actually arguing the case, or is this about trying to make sure that the venue is held in North Carolina?
Yeah, it's the latter. They want to make sure that the venue should be in North Carolina. Florida State's arguing that the ACC didn't follow its own bylaws in rushing to get this court on the docket in Mecklenburg County, and that it should be thrown out, and the case should actually be heard in Leon County. They're in Tallahassee. And then secondly, they're talking about whether or not the ESPN contract should remain under seal. And Florida State is arguing that it's a public record and it should be made public. ESPN and the ACC are arguing that it's a private contract and it should not be made public, and that would harm ESPN's business if the entire thing were made public. The judge already said he's not going to rule on the motion to dismiss this case and move it to Leon County, and I suspect that he won't make a judgment on the sealing aspect either.
Brian Murphy is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. In that case, if you want the case, the contract made public, shouldn't ESPN be part of the lawsuit?
Yeah, ESPN. They have an attorney in the courtroom, and he got up and spoke. He is not party to the bigger case, but he is party, I guess, to this portion about whether that should be sealed. Florida State making a really novel argument that says basically, well, we're in Florida and we have these big public records laws, and this is a contract that involves Florida State, so it should be public. And I look forward then to the Big Ten's contract becoming public and the Big 12's contract becoming public because UCF is a member of the Big 12, and so all their television contracts should be public. And of course,
SEC too, right? Florida,
right? The SEC too, and when Florida State joins the Big Ten, then their contract would be public. I'm not a lawyer. Don't even pretend to play one, but it does seem like ESPN's argument that these are, our actual business, and by putting them out there into the world could cause us harm. Does seem to be, kind of a legitimate argument in this case.
I don't remember from the initial news reporting on this. And Brian Murphy, WRAL Sports investigative reporter, is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. I don't remember Florida State initially arguing that the ACC can't sue because they didn't get permission from the rest of the members of the league to sue Florida State, and they sued preemptively. They filed the first motion in Charlotte the day before Florida State filed in Leon County. But Clemson clearly identified that as a reason. Did I just miss that? Was it just not reported at the time? And is Florida State's case helped by the fact that Clemson has definitely highlighted, well, we didn't agree. We didn't want to sue Florida State, which is what they said in their filing.
Right. I mean, Florida State makes the case that, the ACC would have had to get permission from, have to hold a vote and get permission. And it's pretty clear that the ACC did not do that. The ACC is arguing that it retroactively got permission and that this isn't a material litigation. It's a lot of legalese that I quite frankly is a little over my head at the moment. But, yeah, they're arguing that the ACC didn't follow its rules, and certainly I don't think Clemson would have voted to do it either. No. And so I don't know. Again, the ACC argues, look, we're an ACC company. It doesn't make sense for us to have. I mean, a North Carolina-based company or nonprofit is what they call themselves.
Of course they are. Everybody is.
But it doesn't make sense for us to have to go to every single jurisdiction where we have a team and file lawsuits in those jurisdictions. This should be heard in North Carolina, and that the Florida State, the lawsuit was already up on their Board of Governors site, or their equivalent of their Board of Governors site, Board of Trustees before they even voted. So we saw the imminent challenge coming, and that's why we acted the way we did. It's a lot of back and forth. They are not yet to the meat of the case and of the issue about withdrawal fees and grant of rights and all that.
This is going to sound very naive, and I'm not even sure you can answer it because this to me doesn't make a ton of sense. All legal cases should be judged on the merit of the case, right? Of the particulars of the case. I assume that judges in Florida, although maybe this is a stupid judgment assumption on my part, and judges in North Carolina are all ready to follow the law. But again, there are examples in real life that don't make any sense. So does Florida State really believe that a home court advantage gives are they favored now if this ultimately ends up in Leon County Court?
Well, we see this all the time. To your point, in real life, we see judge shopping, we see venue shopping all the time. If you're a Republican governor, you want to get a case held in Texas.
Right.
If you're a Democratic governor, you'd rather get that heard in California. This happens all the time in what I would quote unquote the real world. And so, yes, I would imagine the law is the same, but the interpretations of that law are probably vastly different if you have Florida State's interests in mind versus, the ACC's interests.
But that's a political thing, right? So this is not a political, this is economics. And I don't understand the political edge one way or the other. That's what I don't get. I could certainly understand if we were talking about something in the lines of the election, and that's sort of what I'm referring to here.
Right.
But this doesn't seem to have red or blue tint either way.
Yeah, it's less political and more, do you get the benefit of the doubt? The home team gets the 50-50 calls.
Right, exactly.
If it's in Florida.
Is
or
Ted
if
Valentine going to be at one venue and not at the other? I don't even know. So
it's not a jury. I don't think these would be jury trials
No.
either. So you're not even talking about a jury that's more, favorable to Florida State in this case, but they're fighting about it. My biggest takeaway was like, man, all the money that's being spent on lawyers, what could Florida State be doing with that money? What could the ACC be doing with that money? Probably better things than employing a whole army of lawyers on both sides, attorneys, to argue whether these documents should be sealed or whether this case should take place in Florida or North Carolina. It's really very minor arguments happening right now, and obviously billable hours is winning.
Billable hours by a mile. The billable hours is minus 350 right now on the money line. By the way, your podcast, I've heard the trailer for the what's the name of the podcast again? I'm sorry about this.
Yeah, Brief History of Triangle Sports.
Brief History of Triangle. Oh, that's been around forever. So check it out with Brian Murphy and Tim Donnelly talking about the origins of gambling in the state and all of that. Where do we stand? What's next? And then we'll say goodbye to Brian Murphy, and then I'll ask you for your brackets.
Yeah, I reported earlier this week about North Carolina, and I think they're the one school that everybody is watching. Obviously, Florida State and Clemson have sort of telegraphed their intentions for a while. But I talked to John Pryor with the Board of Trustees at North Carolina, and he had some disparaging comments to make about Jim Phillips and says that, the ACC is too focused on supporting the bottom half of the conference and not acting in the best interest of the top tier of the conference. And he'll point to expansion as a way of diluting the votes of the Florida States and Clemson's and North Carolinas of the world as one example. And certainly Jim Phillips has, I think, come out and said this, right? The expansion to 18 was about protecting the league, protecting the members of the league, and that's clearly not Florida State and Clemson and maybe some others moving forward. But
right.
I think everyone is watching what North Carolina does. Bubba Cunningham told me, we will be a part of whatever the top tier or top division or top conference of college athletics is, moving forward. The last point I would make is that no one knows what that's going to look like. Like these cases that Florida State and Clemson are going through right now, it could be in 3 years that the NCAA really no longer exists.
Right.
And that schools decide on their own, we don't want to be a part of that, or we do want to be a part of that, or we want to be a part of it, but we can't afford it. And so how much money are you going to pay to get out of the ACC and join the Big Ten or the SEC, only to have the entire thing crumble in 2 or 3 years and be reorganized into something else? I think that's a consideration for a school like North Carolina.
Oh, there's no question. And now what we know through recent decisions is that they're sort of tied, it seems, with NC State. At least they need permission from outside entities before they are allowed to leave. Brian Murphy, who's your Final Four?
I think UConn is going to win the whole thing, but you can't win a bracket by picking UConn. So I took Auburn, Florida, Texas, and
Florida
and Arizona. After the first day of the SEC collapsing, doesn't look very good, but I figured I couldn't just go with chalk, so I tried to mix it up a little.
All right, good for you. But
I think Connecticut is going to win.
Yeah, they're the best team, and there's a pretty big gap, but that doesn't mean they're going to win. I do have them in the Final Four, losing to North Carolina and then UNC beating Duke in the
Oh,
final.
my.
So this bracket is trash. Horrible trash.
Did you put NC State in there as well? Because they're
I
just making a
had
real
State
triangle
winning. I
party.
had State winning last night and then losing to Kentucky because I don't know why I decided to go with my heart in certain places and not in others. I'm not good at this, Brian. I'm not
no
good
one
at
is.
this.
I don't think anyone is.
That's
good
probably true. Brian Murphy, WRAL sports investigative reporter at Murph's Turf on Twitter. Thank you, my man.
All right, thanks, Adam.
All right, Trip Tracy is going to join us in a few minutes from D.C. Hurricanes are up there to take on the Capitals tonight. We'll talk a little bit about last night, and we'll talk about what we can expect from the Caps. They went to the half mercifully, which means we get an 18-minute break from watching Florida Atlantic and Northwestern. It's 20-19.
Whoa.
20-19. Also at the half, Baylor's got 36. Colgate has 23. Colgate is better than both of the other teams that are playing.
And it's a toothpaste.
Yeah. Very good point.
Yeah.
My dentist gives out little tubes of Colgate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Colgate's fine.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
What are you a Colgate house?
I grew up in a Colgate house.
Really?
I did. It was always Colgate.
Always, okay.
Now I buy the expensive stuff from my dentist.
Oh, really?
They've bamboozled me.
They have. Yeah. What? It's not like Tom's, is it?
Oh, no, that's gross. No, I want to say it's called like Prevident or something like that.
That's...
Yeah, I know. It lasts forever, though. And if
Does
my
it?
dentist says it's good,
It lasts
then
forever?
I can. It feels like it. Long time, like 6 months or longer.
Wow.
But if I get cavities, then I can look at my dentist and be like, look, I'm using the real deal stuff. What's going on, buddy?
Man, we used to use, Close-Up, which was
yeah.
basically like a tube of cinnamon.
Yeah.
It was like putting a Red Hot in your mouth.
Oh,
Why are we
gosh,
using
yeah.
that?
Why are you crying while you're brushing your teeth?
What's going on? Why is my mouth on fire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're a Colgate house too.
Yeah.
No, we're Crest.
I was going to say, it's usually Crest or Colgate.
We're Crest.
Kind of like mayonnaise. It's either Hellman's or Duke's.
I'm not sure I've ever bought a mayonnaise that wasn't Hellman's. No offense, I'm not particular. I'm not brand.
Right.
It's
yeah.
not like some people
They're
are.
all...
You only drive Fords or Chevys or whatever.
Yeah.
No.
They all have their purposes, I think.
So it's but we don't buy a lot of mayonnaise. Never mind. We don't need to have this conversation. Trip Trace is going to join us from Washington D.C. when we come back. Hurricanes looking for their 6th consecutive win, which would, I believe, match a season high for them. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, I'm Tim Donnelly from 99.9 The Fan.
And I'm Brian Murphy from WRAL News. Sports betting is finally legal in North Carolina. Getting to this point, in this state, wasn't easy.
How it happened is a backstory worth telling, and that's what we're going to do in a new season of our podcast, A Brief History of Triangle Sports. The podcast is out now.
Follow A Brief History of Triangle Sports on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, or on YouTube.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
I'm Ryan Seacrest. First responders are people who stand for a greater purpose. They will be there for you when nobody else is, to help you, your family, your community. This is their selfless promise. This is their sworn duty to protect, to serve, to help. They put themselves in harm's way for us. They come to the rescue at times when we need them most. First responders are making enormous personal sacrifices to keep showing up for us and fighting the good fight. Nearly 70% of all firefighters are volunteers. That means when they get injured or quarantined, they may not have a way to pay their rent or keep their family safe and fed. No matter who you are or where you live, when you call 911 and ask for help, first responders show up. now. Let's show up for the people who show up for us every day and every night.
Go to firstrcf.org, and make a difference today.
Are you a veteran currently serving in the National Guard or Reserves, or a spouse of a veteran looking to make a career change? Need help with your job search but don't really know where to begin? The Department of Labor Veterans Employment and Training Service is here to assist you with off-base transition training workshops. Visit dol.gov/OBTT workshops to find a class that works for you. Take your career into your own hands by attending in-person or virtual workshops focused on preparing you for your job search. Learn resume writing, how to leverage LinkedIn, tips and coaching for job interviews, and how to master salary negotiation. Looking to be a civil servant? There's even a workshop to help you gain a better understanding of how to find a job in the federal government. You can take one workshop or all of them at no cost to you. Register today at dol.gov/OBTT workshops. You served, you earned it. Paid for by U.S. Department of Labor.
The Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council present the story of Cynthia and Ed.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, out of the blue, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. And she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn or just stay at the stop sign. She wasn't even really sure where she was at. She was very concerned. It was very unsettling for her.
It's very important for you to talk to someone about it, to bring the family in on it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you and we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This is Adam Gold.
That was a big deal to me this morning. I'm sorry if the heathens that we had on for the roundtable, Jeremy and Travis,
My people,
didn't even understand Jurgen Klopp.
It does sound different. Feels like a clogging thing. Like I should be river dancing.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. North Carolina women are in front of Michigan State, 54-42, 2:22 remaining in regulation time. So the Tar Heels look like a pretty good chance to march on and meet South Carolina. I'm assuming South Carolina will win their opening round game. Yeah. They're favored to win the entire tournament. Not like the best choice, the favorite, like minus money.
That's crazy.
To win the women's basketball tournament. And so it'll be North Carolina, South Carolina coming up in the second round, as long as the Tar Heels can hold this lead over the last 2:20. Hurricanes had a little hard time holding a lead last night against the Philadelphia Flyers. They had a 1-0 lead, didn't hold that. Had a 2-1 lead, didn't hold that. Fortunately, when they got the 3-2 lead, the game was over. Seth Jarvis sent everybody home happy. The man in charge of the open ice broadcast last night, Trip Tracy, who along with Shane Willis and Cam Ward and Justin Williams and Jack Drury, who made his TV debut, I guess, Trip Tracy joins us on the Adam Gold Show. How are you?
What's up, AG? I'm doing well. I'm another hotel room in Washington and trying to get my 50-year-old frame going, for this incredibly exciting game that's going to happen tonight. And, thinking back to over the years of guys that have played in places for a long time, made big-time contributions and come back. So this is going to be, I think it's perfect for this team that starting tonight and then early next week that Kuznetsov is going to make his return here to Washington and Gensel, because I think that will only help them feel that much more part of the group after that, finding a way to probably thanks in central part to Freddie Anderson to win last night.
Yeah, I talked to Rod and I asked, I couldn't believe that Freddie was not one of the 3 stars. since he's probably the only reason they won the game. Now, there were good plays made in front of him, around him, all of that, but I thought Freddie was excellent, and how he gets left off that list, again, it's not that big a deal. But Anderson was so good because Carolina wasn't the better team. They weren't bad. They were a little messy. I asked Rod about it, and I think he owns it more to mental fatigue than physical.
Yeah, AG, I agree. I mean, I think, hey, at the end of the day, let's just take the last two games because it's another opponent in a similar spot tonight with the Islanders and the Flyers and now the Capitals. Because the Hurricanes have earned their position in the standings, it's pretty darn tough. Even with the maturity of the group that I've admired big time, to create the level of desperation that's required based on where the Hurricanes are at and where, say, the Islanders are at, Flyers last night, Capitals tonight. And I admire the fact that the Hurricanes have, played as well as they have because they're not where those other teams are at. And the one other thing I would say about last night, I don't know if you talked to Rod about it. Last night was based totally on necessity. I don't know if it'll be the same tonight. Teuvo Teravainen's on the trip, but there's no question at this point. It's a challenge for this group and their forward flow when they go 11 forwards and 7 defensemen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear that that's far from ideal, at this point in time. And I think that was a factor in the fact that, that last night, even though totally admirably they won the hockey game, that it didn't look like the last couple had.
No, it did not. We talked about a number of things. But by the way, I don't know what research you've already done on this, but if my eyes are correct, and who knows, this is the 13th set of back-to-backs that Carolina will have played so far this year, and I think there's one more after this. I think this is the penultimate set of back-to-backs. The Hurricanes are 16-5-3 overall in the back-to-backs, 9-3 in the first half, 7-2-3. I mean, I don't know if that's better or not in the second half. It's one less loss. What do you owe to that other than they're just good?
Conditioning. That ever since Rod became, the head coach, you knew that they'd be as well conditioned or perhaps a top conditioned team in the National Hockey League. Depth and balance. And circumstantially, when I look at this back-to-back tonight and thinking about the most recent one last weekend, when you can win a game like you did in Toronto last Saturday night but not feel great about the way you played, you had a strong inclination and feeling in your gut that you were going to play well. You're going to play much more complete Hurricanes hockey in Ottawa, which is what happened. So you get lessons learned from a win, and every bit of my gut and intuition says that the Hurricanes are going to have a very similar complete effort to what they had in Ottawa after game in a lot of ways. Don't get me wrong. They dug in the grit and some of the same factors last night. And, it's only been 2 weeks. I mean, 2 weeks, actually, AG, as we do this, 2 weeks maybe to the moment that Evgeny Kuznetsov stepped on the ice halfway through practice, having flown from Charlotte where he was in the American Hockey League. This is going to be a night that, every other player will probably forget on the roster, but it'll be a memory that Evgeny Kuznetsov will have for the rest of his life. And you know that all of his new teammates are going to want to do their very, very best to make that a great memory. So that's why I think about Evgeny returning here to Washington tonight, Gensel next week, that it's the perfect time for these two deadline acquisitions to play their former teams.
I asked Rod about Yevgeny. He thinks this is going to be. Thinks it's going to be a difficult night for him emotionally because of how much time and all the relationships. And while he's obviously enjoying his new surroundings, although I'm not sure he was one of the best players last night, he says very kindly. But this is just going to be a difficult night for him. And how he manages the emotions of it all is going to tell a lot.
AJ, I talked to him for quite a while on Wednesday. I've gotten to know him pretty well, and he knew it was going to be a challenge focusing on last night because he knew that tonight was coming, and his play reflected that.
Yeah.
For, I think, very understandable reasons last night. How it's going to go for him individually tonight, my gut, and I could be dead wrong, says he's going to have a big night. That's what my head's telling me, my expanding 50-year-old gut. But the reason Rod says what he did, because I can remember it like yesterday. I mean, Rod's in the Philadelphia Flyers Hall of Fame. He easily could have won a Stanley Cup there. And I remember vividly, not just Rod's first visit to Philadelphia, being a Flyers legend, but the first several. I mean, I think he got a big shootout winner. I don't know if it was his first game, but one of those first returns back. But he's lived in it. He's not just been a player that has returned after a long period of time to play his former team, but a Flyers legend.
Yeah.
And Evgeny Kuznetsov returns here, and a lot of people, I think maybe even most people would say that, when they won the Stanley Cup in 2018, that it should have been Kuznetsov, not Ovechkin, who won the Conn Smythe. So Rod's leaning on that shared experience, knowing it was for him. Not having lived the experience, just observed it. I don't know why my gut tells me Kuznetsov's going to have a big night, but it does.
Yeah, Caps are banged up tonight. No TJ Oshie, no Alexei Protas. And we haven't seen officially, but I can't imagine Tom Wilson is going to play with a pretty lengthy suspension being handed down by the NHL. He had an in-person is having an in-person hearing. They don't invite you for afternoon tea. When you're invited to the NHL for an in-person hearing, it means a multiple game suspension is coming your way. Seth Jarvis played really well with Jordan Staal and Jordan Martinook for a long stretch of time, and now I don't know if Carolina's reaping the benefits of that experience, because Seth always has played kind of a tenacious willingness to throw his body around type of a game. But it appeared to me last night that Rod put 37 with 11 and 48 for a reason. I'm wondering if we're going to see that tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if, first of all, as we talked about earlier at AG, you're hoping that Teravainen, who's on the trip, is going to play up in 12 forwards because already established the challenge of 11. I know he took a penalty that he shouldn't have taken in the third period. I would have loved to have seen the initial contact called too on that bump with the Flyer knee. It might have been Farabee on Freddie Anderson's head in the crease, but either way, we all know that Andre should not react to that, and he's got to learn it, and that's mental toughness more than anything. Aside from that moment that he'd like to have back and needs to permanently be in the rearview mirror, I did think that his third period last night was the best period that he's had in a stretch of time. He got on the body, and until proven differently, I mean, for me, not running around, but there seems to be a direct correlation when Svechnikov plays like a true power forward that everything else seems to fall in line. And there's a reset when you're playing with those two guys that you mentioned that could be a very good reset for him.
I mean, it's a teachable moment. I saw it in the second period, and my tweet was somebody is being, to the effect somebody's going to school, somebody's being sent to class, and when you play, there's only one way to play with those guys. And Rod basically admitted that, this was sort of a lesson. Look, I know Rod said he might take Jarvis and put him back with Staal and Martinook. If I was wagering, I would say he's not. When Jesper Foss draws back in, I think they go back together, because I just don't think that you can take right now Jarvis, Aho, and Gensel away from each other.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can, because you want that chemistry to continue to build. I don't see in the big picture how they're going to be anything but together. Going to school, it's or in life, sometimes it takes it takes many, many failed tests before you really have the most important test, and then you get it. And so I will always remain very hopeful. And my hope would be, AG, that it's not a tough penalty, say, for Svechnikov in a playoff game.
Right.
It's a higher ceiling, less of a consequence if it happens in a regular season game. So you want to be that person that learns that ultimate lesson without a consequential price, however you get there. I don't know if, you talked to Rod. I haven't spoken with him yet, toying with the idea. Andre's going to be fired up for the game tonight. Ovechkin on the other side, a red-hot Ovechkin. So I wouldn't necessarily dismiss putting Andre on Kuznetsov's wing because I feel like you're going to get Andre's best tonight.
Well, they need it. By the way, is Senor Maniscalco back?
Yeah, he's back. I've just texted with him because, again, the 50-year-old frame. I mean, I've been trying to use rest as a weapon and the coffee intake today, and thankfully, you haven't asked me about NCAA breaks because I told Victoria before we came on, sadly, I couldn't name one player on any roster, and that's embarrassing.
It's fine.
But Mike is here and celebrated the life of his mother-in-law, his beautiful wife, Kristen's mom, in Buffalo yesterday, so it's going to be great to have him back.
You'll appreciate this. NC State will take on Oakland from your neck of the woods coming up tomorrow.
I know that for this reason, because I actually this morning, because I always procrastinate, I texted my tax guy and asked him what documents he needs with tax day coming up in under a month. And I know that he went to Kentucky, and I almost finished the email and said, "Go Kentucky." And then I said, whoa, check first and still alive in the tournament. Then I figured it out that they lost to Oakland. So thankfully I did a little research before I pressed send on that email. Otherwise, that really with my tax guy would not have gone over well because Oakland, I now know, beat them.
Yeah, they did. It was remarkable. Trip Tracy, speaking of remarkable, thank you very much for your time, man. I will talk to you. I'll see you Sunday.
Love you, AG. And if an early request, because a week from this moment I'll be flying to Montreal, could I borrow that beautiful scarf,
yes,
sharp in French, that you had last night in our hot stove before the game? It was a beauty.
I will bring it Sunday. You can take it with you. All right, man.
Have a great afternoon.
Take care. So it's like 70 degrees yesterday. If I could just finish painting this picture, it's 70 degrees yesterday, but I knew because. Been doing this a long time, that if you dress for 70 degrees outside and then you go inside with that giant sheet of ice, sometimes it can be super freezing, and it always was. So, I wore the scarf pretty much all game because it was a little chilly. Either way, yes, Trip can. I'll let. Will it make it through customs? I have no idea. All right, Hurricanes got away with playing less than their best last night. And it's because they're just, honestly, you're good. You're better than Philadelphia. And, theoretically, the same should happen tonight against the Capitals. Again, hockey's dumb. You don't know. Bad bounce here.
Yep.
Somebody doesn't play well. If your goalie doesn't play well, it's going to be Pyotr Kochetkov tonight. This will be the third game he has played against the Y. He has actually played, I guess this will be all three. Canes have one more game with the Caps this year, and this could be a team that you might see in the first round of the playoff. That's the thing that we can't afford to overlook. Believe it or not, the Hurricanes could still end up with the best record in hockey. They're not the favorite to end up that way right now. But going into tonight, Boston has 97 points. That's tops in the league. But they have played one more. They have played one more game than the Hurricanes have. The Rangers have 96 points. Carolina and Florida each have 94. The Rangers, again, have one game in hand on Boston. So, if you think about it, the Rangers might have the better chance to get the best record in the game. And here's where it matters. If you have the best record, you get wild card 2 as opposed to wild card 1. If the Hurricanes win the Metropolitan Division, right now, kind of looks like you're going to see the Tampa Bay Lightning. Whatever, that's fine.
We have history.
Yeah, you're going to have to beat good teams regardless.
Every year.
So it really doesn't matter that much. But it is a fair question to ask. Would you rather play Tampa or would you rather play Detroit or Washington or Philly or the Islanders, whoever finishes in wild card 2 position?
Right.
I think that's a fair question. So if you're the Hurricanes, finishing number 1 overall, which is still on the table, yeah, that's where it becomes more important.
That would be ideal.
Right. Winning the division is always good. It would be awesome to win the Metropolitan Division 3 years in a row.
Winning the cup would be even more awesome.
But that is the biggest thing. So winning the division isn't as important as playing well enough to do so, because they don't control their own fate. The Rangers not only are 2 points ahead with the same amount of games remaining, but the Rangers also, I believe, lead in regulation wins, which is the first tiebreak.
Yeah.
So that's okay. So you're going to have to be a little bit better than the Rangers, or hope that the Rangers win some of their remaining games either in overtime or a shootout, and you win more in regulation, which the Hurricanes will do tonight.
Yes, put it out there.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
We're gonna stay with. I should have taken Jarvis yesterday.
I know.
I thought about it because that would have been because Jarvis overtime, Canes win
would have been perfect. Even though
because that's what I did.
Is really good for overtime goals.
He is amazing, but that's what I did on my the actual parlay I placed whatever day it was this week when the Hurricanes played Tuesday on the island.
Yeah,
I had Jarvis, Canes, overtime.
Right.
And
you just did it early. You've done this before where you make the bet, but it's like a day early.
Like Brett Pesce scoring.
Yeah.
Dmitry Orlov scoring.
I know.
We'll do something like that today.
I know.
We're gonna have a little fun. All right, we're going to stretch. We're going to place bets real quick. Updates: Northwestern with a 6-point lead, 35-29. A little bit more than 14 minutes remaining in that game. It is a race to 50 there. North Carolina, believe it or not, has blown just about all of that lead. At one point, it was 54-42. Carolina leads 57-56.
Ooh.
And there are just over 5 seconds remaining. Carolina going to the free throw line. So Deja Kelly's at the line. She is 1 of 6 from the stripe today. So this could get ugly very quickly.
Yeah.
By the way, Baylor is crushing Colgate at the half, 54-34.
They use Crest.
That would be funny.
I know.
Right? If you're a Colgate
yeah.
and you have Crest do an endorsement, put like a little Crest. Is
They're
there a Crest
missing
symbol?
opportunity. Maybe. If there's not, there should be.
So North Carolina is looks like they're going to win it 58-56 going back to the free throw line. There's a lot of stuff going on in Columbia, South Carolina. All right, we'll come back. We'll stretch. We'll place bets. All of that next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
During this sports season, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling to and from athletic events. Whether you are driving out of or across town, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. Start the season off right. Prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. Remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message is brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Have you ever had a mammogram?
I could never really afford one until now.
New job with benefits?
It's the same job with NC Medicaid.
I heard they're covering more people.
Well, you can earn more and still get NC Medicaid. Full coverage, low or no copays, prescriptions too.
Was it hard to enroll?
I went to the NC Medicaid website. Took a bit of time, but it's worth it.
Are you anxious about the test?
Not as much, now that I have NC Medicaid.
See if you qualify at medicaid.nc.gov. This year, more than 600,000 people are eligible for coverage under the new Medicaid expansion program passed by the North Carolina State Legislature. This means that more people than ever before qualify for services. Brian Floyd is the Chief Operating Officer of ECU Health and discusses these issues on this month's Conversations on Healthcare podcast with the North Carolina Healthcare Association.
Rural communities are affected even more because people who don't have insurance will seek out care in the emergency department. We really want people to get Medicaid expansion, get to see a primary care doctor, and avoid the use of an emergency department that consumes those resources that might really be needed for true emergencies.
You can listen to the rest of this discussion on Conversations on the State of Healthcare podcast with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Learn more about Medicaid expansion and other important healthcare issues at nchealthcare.org. That's nchealthcare.org.
Need money for college? Well, if you're a North Carolinian from a household making $80,000 or less, then Next NC Scholarship could pay for more than half, if not all of your tuition and fees at any NC community college or public university. And it doesn't have to be repaid. We're talking at least $3,000 for community college or $5,000 for a public university and possibly more. Get all the details about the new Next NC Scholarship and see how simple it is to apply at nextncscholarship.org.
From the mountains to the coast, there is tremendous pride in North Carolina agriculture. NC Forever Farms is a program recognizing family farms that are protecting precious working lands vital to the future of agriculture. Through permanent agricultural conservation easements, these NC Forever Farms will always be protected from development. Learn more about preserving family farms through the Farmland Preservation Division of the North Carolina Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services by visiting ncadfp.org.
If you pay your city or town for electricity, you live in a public power community. Public power communities provide electricity to families and businesses from a locally owned and operated system. Public power systems are not-for-profit and provide electricity at affordable rates with unbeaten reliability. Your local public power provider invests in your community, providing local jobs and supporting your local economy. Electricities of North Carolina is the energy behind public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
In North Carolina, when our child care centers close due to lack of funding and support, families, businesses, and children all feel the impact. Businesses lose employees, families lose financial stability, and children lose out on the education and care that sets them up for a lifetime of success. But NC Child is fighting to keep our state from falling off the child care cliff. Learn more about our work and how you can get involved at ncchild.org. NC Child, the voice for North Carolina's children.
This is Adam Gold.
Listen, the ACC is not as bad as everyone out there, Joe Lenardi and all the proctologists.
Wow. Whoa.
It's
Wait a second. Victoria, did you hear that? It's a proctologist.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria producing the program. Canes will be going for their 6th consecutive win tonight in Washington, D.C. It's a light night on NHL ice. Only 3 other games, only one of which involves a team that is theoretically in the playoff race. Pittsburgh plays tonight. I actually don't even remember who they're playing, but it's not a playoff team. Hurricanes and the Capitals. That is the playoff matchup in the Eastern Conference. We got basketball going on. Northwestern 41-34 ahead of Florida Atlantic. See, this is more like actual basketball being played. It was 20-19 at halftime in favor of Florida Atlantic.
You're thinking about that cinnamon
Right.
toothpaste.
Exactly. So in 8 minutes, Northwestern has outscored what Florida Atlantic scored in the entire half.
Wow.
Both teams have decided to offense in the second half. It is wonderful how much that makes the game look better.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
Points.
Scoring.
Points being scored. Yes.
Ball in net.
43-36 going on right now. So bunch of games today. Duke will play tonight against Vermont. State is already through to the second round. Carolina is through. to the second round, and I am looking forward to tomorrow's basketball.
Oh, yeah.
Also, tomorrow, no hockey.
Yeah.
Day off.
You could actually just do all basketball tomorrow.
Yeah, I got chores. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's that.
but basketball will be watched tomorrow.
Well, you know what else is tomorrow?
Oh, they're punching and kicking.
Yes,
Yeah.
punching and fighting. Lots of
Excellent. Oh, good.
organized violence.
Excellent. That's fine. With a clock and everything.
Yep.
All right, and rules, theoretically.
Yes, there are. People like to break them sometimes, but then they get penalized.
No biting.
No,
No
not
pull-
Mike Tyson.
no
However,
pulling
he
hair.
is going to be in the ring again.
Yeah, he's going to fight Jake Paul, right?
Just won't go away.
Is it Jake Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not anti-Tyson, but I don't know that I've ever rooted for. I've never rooted for him in a big fight.
Yeah.
I was Team Holyfield when Tyson fought Holyfield, so I've never been a huge fan.
Mm-hmm.
But I am rooting for him against.
Oh, yeah. If there's
Jake Paul.
anyone I don't know who I wouldn't pick over him. Like anybody he wants to fight, I'm going to root for the opponent. I'm just over Jake Paul.
I'm totally.
The brothers, actually. Logan Paul, too.
I
I don't
don't-
know a lot about him, but he dabbles in it, too.
Oh, does he?
Oh, yeah. It's gross.
I wish somebody would dabble on him.
Yeah. Well,
Just-
here's the problem. He needs to actually fight fighters who are good and not like retired or
Oh,
specialize in a different sport.
No, I'm going to give him credit for that because if I was a fighter,
Mhm.
I would only want to fight people who were not good at fighting.
Exactly.
That would be my choice.
Exactly.
Give me somebody who's not good at this.
At least he's not that dumb where he's, going to fight good ones.
Yeah, that poor choice.
Yeah, because he's not fighting
Poor choice.
Mayweather. I mean,
Right. I would only fight bad fighters. That's what I would do.
That's ideal.
Yeah. And nobody wants to see me fight anyway. All right, let's stretch.
Okay, so there's lots going on, lots of basketball,
There
and there's
is.
been polls that talk about snacks and other things related with this. I found this interesting. So in March Madness, I don't know where this poll was, but there was a poll out that they talked about fans from different places, South, West, East, North, and kind of the little quirks that they do. And some people have lucky snacks.
Right.
Do you have lucky snacks with things that you
Wait, Lucky Snacks? No.
Yes.
There's not a snack that I associate with like
Luck.
good things happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, fans in the West and South are most likely to prefer hot level foods, spicy things, I
Okay.
guess.
Yeah.
Fans in the East like medium level spice, and Midwesterners, they like the mild stuff. So, in case you were curious about that. Also, an interesting thing, Easterners.
Well, wait. Likes versus
Well, that's what they pick.
lucky.
Apparently, I guess they think that that's their lucky food of choice, I guess, is more of a mild spice than a hot one. So I guess
prefer
here.
cucumber slices.
Oh, well, there you go.
Said nobody ever.
Which we should have had for Adam Smith yesterday during his relaxation. Also, Easterners are more confident that their favorite team can win it all.
Oh, of course they are. Of course.
That's what this poll says anyway.
I thought you were going to say obnoxious.
Yeah.
I thought really that was coming out. Hey, and don't at me. I'm from the Northeast, so
Right.
don't
you can
at me.
say it because you're from there.
Yeah.
Westerners, they're least confident in their favorite team, and Easterners and Westerns are most competitive. Which, yes, I can understand that. Midwest, though, they're big underdog fans.
Of course.
They cheer more for the underdogs.
Well, Cubs fans
Well, yes, they are. And,
and Bears fans.
Last but not least, I thought this was gross. I don't know if Will Levis is from here, but
Oh,
Easterners
gosh.
apparently are most likely to add condiments to their pasta and cookies. What?
What? Wait, no.
What are we doing?
Cookies?
Yes. Even pasta. And I've seen people put ketchup on pasta, which why? They make tomato sauce.
Yeah, it's no good.
But cookies? What are we doing? Yeah, I can't get down with that. So, no, it's no. But one thing I think people do everywhere, probably spend way too much money on streaming services. So there was another survey, the average American spends about $61 per month for 4 services, which that was its whole thing a long time ago, was that they were supposed to be cheaper than cable. And then here we are just spending all kinds on streaming. So there's all kinds of streaming services for everything. It's getting ridiculous.
Yes.
So if you feel seen in this, they recommend that you just kind of break down and look at all your streaming services and, write them out. That way you can really see where you're at with your bills. And last but not least, when it comes to bills, going to restaurants, if you are someone that skips out on that reservation, don't be that person. Also, put your cart back, please.
Yes.
You have to be careful because some restaurants nowadays may fine you. That is the latest thing where restaurants might fine you if you make a reservation and then don't show up. It could vary anywhere from $50 to $100 per person. Now, most restaurants will use this towards your food, but again, if it's $100 per person and you're going to Applebee's, it's a problem. So just just maybe don't do that. So, but I know something else you could spend your money on. Some bets.
Place your bets. Make money on.
Yes, make.
Now we're allowed.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide. Okay, you can owe me. I owe you one.
All right.
Yeah, I did bad
Let's rock.
yesterday. Okay. All of it for me.
I came close to winning all 3, but didn't.
Oh, did
and
you?
didn't win any.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I hate
Fine.
coming close. But this week, UFC Vegas 89 gross back at the Apex. However, always excited for cards. First up, Andre Lima versus Igor De Silva or Severino, whichever you prefer. I'm going to go with Andre Lima. Both of these guys are undefeated so far, but I think Andre's going to take it to decision. So give me him by the points, plus 240.
Excellent. All right. I've never heard of that person. Let's start in basketball.
Yeah.
Duke minus the points. I think it's 10.5, might be 12.5. I have to go back and look. Duke giving the points over 133.5 against Vermont.
Okay.
Be confident in the Blue Devils today.
Right. Confident in the dark blue. Next up, heavyweighters, Carl Williams versus Justin Tafa. Carl was supposed to be fighting Junior Tafa, his brother. He's not, so I think Carl has the advantage. Give me him by the points, plus 190.
I like Junior Tafa.
I know. Sounds like
sorry.
a candy.
It does. I'm sorry he's not fighting. Texas A&M and Nebraska are playing today. Give me A&M outright to win and under 148.5. A&M, I think, is a sneaky upset special all the way through. No joke. 140, so it's plus 230.
Okay. Last but not least, the main event, Amanda Ibas versus Rose Namajunas. A lot of people like Rose. She's coming off of a 3-fight losing streak. Not great, but I'm hoping Thug Rose comes out this weekend. She's trying. So give me Thug Rose, old school, by knockout, plus 155.
Thug Rose?
That's her nickname.
Interesting.
I know.
All right, that's fine.
She fought last with a broken pinky, like for most of the whole fight. So.
That makes you a thug. That makes you a thug. All right, Hurricanes are going to win the game by at least 2. So we're laying a 1.5 with the Canes tonight in Washington, and I'm staying with him. I'm staying with Andrei Svechnikov, an anytime goal scorer. So there you go. Have a little fun, people. Units only. Be careful. Only bet as many units as you are willing to lose, able to lose. Wall of Sound next.
Going beyond the box scores. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
You're always close to the Canes with 99.9 The Fan.
47 seconds left in overtime. Jarvis now his feet. Dropper inches. He scores! Inches in overtime, and the Canes win it 3-2.
Count on us to bring you every Canes game night and the latest Canes news from insider Adam Gold, your official home for the Carolina Hurricanes. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports leader.
Adam Gold in studio with my man Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. All right, everything for the exterior of your home. Do you have a favorite?
I have a favorite, yeah.
I want to hear
it. So windows, doors, are my favorite products. The reason why is because we are the best at installing them. You know, there's 1,000 different types of windows on the market, doors on the market, different people installing them, different companies. I don't care how good a window you get. If it's not installed properly, it's not going to do you a bit of good. I always tell people, if you buy a submarine window, the best one in the world, and you have me put it on a submarine, you don't want to get in that submarine.
I don't want to get in the submarine either way.
I hear you. So anyway, so that's the thing I say. So it's really important that you have things installed properly. We've been around since 1961. We've got a 4.9 out of 5-star Google review ratings, over 800 reviews. Give us a call. We'll come out and give you a free no obligation estimate.
It's the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. You can find them online at aluminumcompany.com.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Walk right through the door. It's all here to explore. With guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. And love what you find.
Drink responsibly, B21. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips that you plan in advance, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends for which you make a group chat 3 months before so that nobody or anything is missing? Or your daughter's first birthday party. You planned it with such dedication that instead of the first, it felt like our 15s. The same way you plan each detail for those moments. Start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit, and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Every second counts in a poison emergency. That's why Poison Help is standing by 24/7 to provide free assistance in over 100 languages. Save Poison Help as a contact in your phone today. Poison Help. 1-800-222-1222.
This hour of Buzz Sports Radio is brought to you by the Ritchie Law Firm Injury Lawyers.
Jeremy on the drive, all the way in, off the window for two! The captain delivers!
Go to GotBryan.com. That's GotBryan.com.
Your home for Duke basketball. WCMC HD2 HD3 Holly Springs, WDNC AM Durham, and WCLY AM Raleigh. The Buzz.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Because it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got to do.
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
Michael Dugan with WCAX Sports Anchor in Vermont. And don't you know, for the second straight year, Vermont, this time versus Duke, first round NCAA game, Friday night. So, first of all, how you doing? I appreciate you telling us everything you know about the Catamounts.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. We're battling some New York traffic currently. Just made a quick 5-hour drive down from Burlington. But yeah, this should be a very exciting game. Burlington, the Catamount Country, as it's called up there, is pretty excited to have the opportunity to play that nationally televised primetime game against a program like Duke. So hopefully it's a good full 40-minute battle.
So with the people that you've been able to talk to around the program, obviously they knew they were getting in. What does it mean when it's Vermont versus Duke? When you see Duke pop up, what is that?
So when they heard their name announced at the selection show, we got to talk to them about 10, 15 minutes after when it was still pretty raw, and they were all, everyone that we spoke to, which was a couple players and the head coach, were in agreement that it's an amazing opportunity to play a program like Duke. More than one person said directly, Duke is Duke. It's one of the marquee brands in this sport, in college sports, really in sports in general, but this program has been here before. They've been on this stage. They haven't played a program like Duke in a little while, but they've been here before, so they understand what it means to play a program like that, to play a team like that. But they're also handling it as a business trip. They know they've got a job to do, and they're doing their best to sort of stay focused on the task at hand. But it can't really hide from the fact that you're going up against the Blue Devils. It's hard to do that.
Michael Dugan from WCAX in Burlington, on his way to Brooklyn, or already in Brooklyn for the first-round matchup with the Blue Devils. I'm sure that some of the guys have noticed that Duke lost to Carolina. Duke just lost to NC State. They have dropped 2 in a row. Does that add to the level of confidence?
I don't think they're focused too much on that. They've made it pretty clear, Vermont has, that they're sort of focused on playing the best game that they can play and trying to do their best to set their tempo for this one. I think they're not looking too much into Duke's path of getting here. It seems to me as though the focus has more been on how can we best elevate our strengths, how can we play our basketball to the best of our ability, and sort of stop them to as best we can at what they do best. They mentioned sort of the shot making that Duke's able to do, the skill set, especially at the guard positions. So I think Vermont's mostly focused on the game coming up and less about how each team got here, at least from what they've said to us so far.
Michael Dugan from WCAX in Burlington is with us here on the Adam Gold Show. So if you had to describe a playing style, what does Vermont do best? I know they've got a handful of guys who have attempted, they have 3 that have attempted more than 100 threes, another at 94. So obviously they're not shy from getting shots up from the perimeter. But what is their best quality as a team?
Defense. They are defense all the way. They're a top 50 defensive team if you look at a number of different efficiency metrics. Offensively, it's been an interesting year for them offensively. Head coach John Becker said the other day they're still trying to work through exactly what they want their offensive identity to be, which again, we are in late March, so it might seem a little late to hear that, but they've got enough weapons, especially at the guard position, where 2 of their starting guards I describe as sort of microwave guys with 30-foot range, where if they have an offensive lull here and there, which they've had at certain points throughout the season, they've been prone to 3-4 minute stretches where you're like, okay, they really need to get something going here. So they have had stretches where they've struggled offensively, especially recently in the conference tournament. But when you sort of get into March and we see these underdogs come in, they've got sort of the prototype players, kind of twitchy guards that can pull up pretty much from anywhere once they cross half court and knock down a 3. But defense is their identity through and through. It's kind of, for anyone that's watched Vermont basketball in the past as they make their sort of annual return to the big dance, it's a very traditional Vermont defense. They've got 2 all-conference defensive players, one of whom, named Shamir Bogues, loves to pick up guys full court. The other one is a very long forward named Iliri Iofalia. They call him Big Eye, and you see him step on the floor and you'll know exactly why. So they're a defensive first team, very, very gritty, and defense sort of turns into offense for large portions of the game as well.
Yeah, and just judging by the metrics, they block a fair amount of shots, and they don't allow teams to shoot a high percentage, right around 31% from 3, under 50% on 2-point baskets as well. So, but they don't turn you over. So it says to me they kind of just maybe pack it in and make you beat them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They try to sort of condense the floor defensively, and they do a very good job, as you mentioned, of trying to eliminate the 3-point ball. There are a couple of teams in America East that love to kind of run up the floor and chuck up threes, and they played really well against one of those teams this year. And the other team, University of Albany, was able to kind of put up some big numbers on them a couple of times this year. But for the most part, they do a pretty good job of taking away the three ball. They've got, like I mentioned, a couple of all-conference defensive guys. One of them can guard 1 through 4. The other can guard 2 through 5. So they've got that kind of lockdown, at least up to this point. They don't turn you over, but they also don't turn it over themselves. So a lot of their games are sort of picking up in the half court, fairly clean basketball, but like I mentioned earlier, gritty. If Vermont is able to control the tempo of this game for any stretch, even if it's for just a couple of minutes, it's going to be some high-intensity, half-court, gritty basketball.
Well, we're looking forward to it here. Michael Dugan from WCAX in Burlington, Vermont. Enjoy Brooklyn. It's a great arena. I think you'll have a great time. And for somebody who has been there a couple of times, Bergen Bagels right around the corner from Barclays Center. Just tell them we said hi.
I absolutely will. We're looking for a recommendation right now, so that's perfect timing. So we're going to go stop by and tell them you said hello.
It's not going to get him a free bagel though.
Right. Yeah.
So, but Bergen Bagel,
delicious.
Solid.
That's
Very
where you
good.
should go.
Very good. To be totally fair to any bagelry in New York City, they don't make bad bagels anywhere.
Okay.
It really doesn't matter where you go.
Oh, you're safe everywhere.
Yeah, you can get bagels on the street.
Oh,
Yeah,
like
it's
pizza?
Kind of. It's the water.
It
really is.
I've heard that.
It's the water. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
It is the water.
Yeah.
So, and you know me, I have a PhD in bagels.
Right. Well, I know some places have their water shipped here. Like who try to have
they're not
pizza
shipping the right
places.
water, I don't think. It's hard. It's hard. And there's some people from New York making bagels here, and no, it's not.
It's not the same.
It just isn't the same. Maybe it's the, I don't know, pollution.
Maybe it just adds a little spice to the
maybe it's the
bagels.
State and city taxes.
Right.
I have no idea.
Makes it taste better.
Whatever happens. All right, when we come back, Nada the Scribe's going to join us. We'll talk a little tournament. We'll talk a little pro ball as well. I don't wonder how many people have looked at the play-in games or the play-in tournament in the West. Might be better than the actual playoffs. Next.
Raleigh to Boone, Charlotte to Chapel Hill. Your Carolina is covered. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Bring on the madness.
Reeves, three-point jumper, no good. Golke down with the rebound. Maybe now they know where Oakland is. They're in the history books. An 80-76 upset victory over Kentucky.
From the first round to the final buzzer, we'll bring you every winning moment. College basketball tournament action on 99.9 The Fan is powered by Carolina Ale House, Fairway Green, and Bailey's Fine Jewelry.
March, as we all know, is a critical time to check your home's windows. I'm Tim Donnelly, and if yours are cracked or leaking or won't stay open or won't open at all, then it's time to call the pros at Window Nation. Right now, for every 2 windows you buy, you'll get 2 windows free, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and no payments for 24 months. With proven quality and service, it's no wonder thousands have trusted Window Nation. Don't miss out. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Dear VetTix, it was nice to spend the night with my daughter and other veterans. It's so humbling to attend an event when you feel appreciated.
I had a wonderful time with my family. Thank you for the memories, VetTix.
Dear VetTix, thank you for a great experience and for your support of the military and veterans.
Thank you so much, VetTix. Our family has gone through a lot the last few years, and this gave us a nice break.
Every empty seat at a concert, game, or special event is a missed opportunity to say thank you to a veteran or a service member. By giving your extra tickets to VetTix, you'll help America's heroes reduce stress, strengthen family bonds, and create a truly happy memory that will last a lifetime. So when you really want to say thank you for your service, give the experience. Give the memory. VetTix. Give something to those who gave. For more information on how you can make a difference, go to vettix.org.
We are the NFHS. That stands for the National Federation of State High School Associations. But really, what we stand for, together with the NCHSAA, are the 198,000 high school sports students in North Carolina. And so we stand. We stand for the runners, soccer and basketball players. We stand for their coaches, administrators, and officials. We stand for the swimmers, football players, and wrestlers. We stand for the golfers, softball, and volleyball players. We stand as the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and all who participate in them and make them possible. Because it is our purpose to ensure that high school students get to play, perform, and compete together. To learn more about who we are and what we stand for, visit nfhs.org.
Why? Why take a chance? Why risk a mistake? Why say something? We all have reasons why we choose to ignore the things that give us pause, that seem out of place, that don't feel right. The word why can either paralyze us or empower us to stand up and protect what we love. So if you see something, why do you say something?
I see safe for my family.
I see safe for my friends.
I see say for my students.
We see say for each other.
I see say because all of this matters.
We all have something worth protecting, a why that unifies this community we're all a part of. So protect your everyday. Report suspicious activity to local authorities. If you see something, say something.
This is Adam Gold.
I would like to go to the supermarket with the Bears front office.
Exactly.
Right? Oh, no. Do I want, like, fruits and vegetables, or do I want this box of Devil Dogs? Devil Dogs, by the way, the greatest snack cake known to mankind. Unfortunately, you need a lot of milk. Otherwise, you're out of luck.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Northwestern with a, no, it's not a lead, it's a tie. Northwestern and Florida Atlantic with a little bit more than 2.5 minutes to go in their game. It's the 8-9 game. It should be close, right? We should have, those games theoretically should be close. I've always wondered why, like, this is the way it should be. The teams that play in the first four, those should be the teams that go into the brackets near the 1 seeds.
Yeah.
Not the 8-9s. That's
Right.
just my opinion. I don't know if Nada the Scribe, our friend Kanata Edwards, CBSSports.com, works on the Eye on College Basketball podcast, has thought about this. Also, some people apparently have confused him for Lenny Kravitz. My first introduction to Nada today was Nada tweeting out or commenting on a picture of Lenny Kravitz.
Hold on now.
He's 60 years old today. Happy birthday to Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah, exactly. He's 60 years old, and they said, "What's stopping you from looking like that?" And I just commented, "I like carbs. I can't help myself."
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's pizza. It's either pizza or look like Lenny Kravitz. I choose pizza every time.
It's insane that he looks like he's about 25, but that's all right. All right, so the college basketball tournament is well underway. The SEC is trash. The ACC so far is amazing, other than Virginia, who I believe we're kicking out of the league.
Well, or if they don't leave for the Big Ten first. Let's not forget about that part.
That is true. That's where Jim Phillips is cutting a deal right now with Tony Petitti to take Virginia, so they can claim that performance.
Absolutely. The SEC is very, very, very underwhelming, especially when you consider the whole Oakland-Kentucky matchup yesterday, where I guess Kentucky forgot to defend, and then Cal didn't run any sets and basically left Reed Shepherd and Rob Dillingham to their own devices.
Figure it out.
About 38 of the 40 minutes then on top of that, decides to throw them all under the bus at the end of the press conference. And, oh, yeah, everybody's sick of John Calipari in Kentucky, it appears. So they may have to have a $33 million decision coming really.
Yeah, John Calipari is only going to leave Kentucky if John Calipari wants to leave Kentucky. I mean, he's not. He's going to stay there. And here's the thing. I said this a long time ago about Cal and Kentucky. Because, look, everybody self-medicates, right? You explain away, and I'll just go back to the first time, not the first time, but I was in the interview room after the 1999 national championship game when Duke was beaten by Connecticut. And when you look back at that team, there was no crime in losing to that Connecticut team. Just no crime at all. There were pros all over that team, which is fine. But Coach K comes out and says that we don't coach for championships, we coach for relationships. Yeah, okay, but yeah, you were not there to strengthen your relationship with Corey Maggette. You were there to win a national championship. It didn't work out. Whatever. It happens. John Calipari, after losing, was, I think, maybe a Final Four game. It might have even been after a win, with the line that the real important thing is these guys will all be, go in the NBA draft. I'm like, no.
The draft day, I do remember that conversation. He was like, draft day matters more than a Final Four.
It doesn't.
Or something along the line.
It doesn't, because it doesn't matter to the people who ultimately pay your salary. So yeah, they're all full of it.
They are, and that's the problem with this entire situation, is that this was probably the most modern Kentucky team in 4 or 5 years at this point.
Right.
And quite honestly, like, they led the league, they led the nation in 3-point percentage at 41%. They were modern, but at the same point, you could tell Cal really wasn't into it. And we also have to remember that, I believe, and I'm pretty sure about this, Cal is 0 for this presidency in terms of leaving the first weekend. That's not necessarily a good thing.
No.
Especially when the election is coming up in about 6-7 months. Like, when you go 0 for an entire presidency and leaving the first weekend at Kentucky, it is unacceptable considering the amount of money that goes into Kentucky basketball on a year-by-year basis. So if you're going to fail miserably at that, and have all these guys that eventually go on to have bigger careers, which brings another conversation about Cal and underutilizing his guards, but we don't have enough time for that. But at the same point, just if you are failing at that big of a that, like, Mitch Barnhart at some point is going to have to really look at that $33 million and be like, this is untenable. We may have to pull the plug this summer.
Will Ashley Judd cut the check?
Yes. Like, again, they're 0 for this presidency.
Yeah, I know.
Leading to the second. And remember,
I know.
They're the ones that started the St. Peter's run when that happened.
That's right.
Like, I had a host make peacock noises off of that loss.
Well, that had to be Gary. It had to be Gary Parrish.
That absolutely is Gary Parrish.
Nat Norlander would not make peacock noises. You couldn't get Nat Norlander to do that.
But he was there, and he condoned it.
Right, but he was just admiring and enjoying the schadenfreude of all of it. Is probably what was happening. Like,
but that's all Calipari's fault. You can't, so that when we talk about, is Ashley Judd going to cut a check to help pay that $33 million buyout, I would not be surprised if everybody in Big Blue Nation goes into the couch cushions, finds whatever they have. There may be a GoFundMe right now out of Lexington to get Cal out of there, just because of how bad it's been and how toxic the entire situation is.
Yeah, the interesting thing is, and I said this a long, long time ago, this is before he won his first title, that I wonder how much Kentucky fan will put up with not – because the assumption was, man, we're going to win every year. And I understand why you would think that with the pipeline of talent that was coming there, staying 1 year, going to the NBA. Duke has dealt with the same thing. Kentucky was just there first. I just wondered how long they would put up with, Sweet 16 and out or Elite 8 and out. And that was then. Now we are talking, as you point out, we are talking about a different time in the bracket where you say goodbye. And I think they could put up with, Elite Eights and not going beyond that. But this is a totally different animal. You and I, when we speak, let's just say sometime next week or maybe the week of the Final Four. Whenever it is we get to that, we're going to discuss whether or not it is proper to think about a conference based on what they do in the tournament. Because I can understand both arguments. I completely joke about the SEC or the ACC, all of this now. But at the end, we'll be able to go back and maybe get a better sense, because I've never bought this Mountain West, ACC, Big 12, Big 10, all of that stuff. To me is kind of it's interesting to listen to, but it's also maddening because there's so much. There's so many disingenuous points of view here. Everybody's got an agenda. I have an agenda when it comes to discussing the Atlantic Coast Conference. I am not afraid to admit that. I want the ACC to do well. But the truth is that, like, Virginia didn't belong. We can all agree on that. And based on their resume, Pitt and Wake didn't belong, even though I watched both of those teams play, and they were both light years better than Virginia.
I would argue that because of, and we've had this conversation, so we get to take this conversation, these private conversations that me and you have, and bring them to the airwaves. I value body of work. I value challenging yourself. Virginia, at the very minimum, challenged themselves in the non-conference to earn their spot.
Agreed.
Now, did they fall apart, and have they looked horrible? Had they looked horrible down the stretch? Absolutely. I can't argue with that, but I can't argue that they didn't belong.
Oh, I think you can argue that they didn't belong. I think here's the way I would look at it. If they had chosen St. John's ahead of Virginia or Oklahoma ahead of Virginia, nobody would have screamed based on what we watched Virginia do the last 3 weeks. 4 weeks. Nobody would have screamed they didn't. That Virginia got robbed?
See, me personally, I would have said I would not have agreed with that, because for me, if you are a high major team and you don't go out of your way to schedule difficult, and this is a larger college basketball landscape thing for me, because how many people care about opening day in college basketball anymore?
None.
Virtually nobody.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because we have a lot of scared coaches, some in this area, who have admitted now that maybe they scheduled a little scared. But there are a lot of coaches that will be allowed to schedule scared if you don't put emphasis on the non-con. And for me personally, I'd like to talk about college basketball in a glowing manner when it starts, not just in February when Duke Carolina hits, or not just in March when we get the conference tournaments. This is a holistic sport where every game should matter. That includes the non-con, that includes the conference games. So if you're going to tell me, do I have to pick between the team that hasn't been great, but also at the same point scheduled somebody that actually can defend themselves, I'm gonna take that team, even if it is Virginia and we hate to watch them and they embarrass themselves up until the point where Colorado State last night did worse.
Obviously, it was contagious. I don't blame Colorado State. Virginia should have worn masks during the game, and I think we would have avoided all that. All right, so we'll have that conversation in a broader sense. But let me ask you this: if you told Adam Silver at the beginning of the season that he was staring at a Lakers-Warriors play-in game, he would have said what?
I welcome it, because the last Lakers-Warriors play-in game legitimized the play-in. And also, at the same point, we may not be getting that, because when's the last time you looked at the Houston Rockets and where they are? They're only 2 games back.
Yeah, 3 in the loss column. There's not a lot of games left.
Yeah, but do you trust either one of those teams, Lakers or Warriors, to have the gas to continue in that 9 or 10 spot?
Rockets
Because
have won
I'm
7
not
in a
so
row.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Houston's right there. Houston is right there. So I'm not sure we're going to get that. But either way, if you get Golden State Lakers, you get Lakers Houston, you get Golden State Houston. That's a win-win because either way, you have a young team with Alperen Şengün, a Jalen Green that is figuring it out as he goes in the last little bit. And then you have Jabari Smith. And then you have Steph Curry over here.
Yeah.
Or you have LeBron James over here. And then they get to play the loser of the 7-8 game for the last spot to go get killed by most likely OKC. This is a win-win for everybody. The only issue Adam Silver may have right now is that the East isn't holding up their end of the bargain, as per usual post-2000.
Yeah. Is Boston the best team still?
Boston's the best team in the regular season.
Right.
We have to.
I'm with you.
Discussions about later.
I do not trust them in the postseason.
And also, Miami's looking like they're getting healthy and they're going to be dangerous again. And that's the scary part, is that old friend Terry Rozier adds just enough to where if Tyler Hero ain't giving it to you, then you have Bam Adebayo. You have a lot. They have a lot of depth, and I do worry that we're going to see. We might see Miami-Denver again in the finals, and it'll go the same way, 4-1. But at the same point, because at this point, and I don't know about you, no one's beaten Denver in a 7-game series at this point. No one.
You don't think the Knicks can beat the Nuggets in a 7-game series?
No. I don't think anyone can. I think there's...
He just didn't even react to that. He just said no. I actually think the Knicks have a chance to get out of the East.
I think the Knicks have a chance to get out of the East.
Yeah.
I just don't think it matters.
Oh, I agree.
Jokic is the Terminator right now.
He is. But the more difficult part for the Nuggets will be getting out of the West. I'm
not sure about that.
I love Oklahoma City. I've loved them all year.
The problem with Oklahoma City is they have not been there. Otherwise, right. I would absolutely agree with you because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is most likely going to win the MVP.
He's awesome.
He's been a top 2 player. Jokic is just coasting right now, and depending on how much of a threat he considers you, his effort level basically rises and lowers with how much he considers you a threat. And for the Oklahoma City Thunder, he does that. So I just wonder if, like, the experience factor, and I really do worry about that second round matchup with whoever gets that out of that 4-5 matchup with them, where I'm not sure they have enough experience just yet to where they can do some damage to get to a Oklahoma City Denver Western Conference final, and I want to see those fireworks.
Well,
I think everybody wants to see those fireworks.
As we say goodbye to the scribe Kanata Edwards here on the Adam Gold Show, if Denver gets the number 1 seed and they have to deal with the Clippers in the second round, a healthy Clippers team could be an equalizer to the Nuggets, but there has to be a healthy Clippers team because they need Kawhi. They need fully operational Kawhi and Paul George and Russ and Harden to throw at them because they can come at you in a lot of different ways when they throw their best at you.
I worry about the pivot. Like, you telling me Mason Plumlee's got to guard Jokic for 20, 25 minutes? Good luck.
He can't guard him at all.
Exactly.
He can't guard him for 5 minutes.
That's the point.
That's a good point. All right, that's why we talk to you. Kanata Edwards, not a describe on Twitter. I appreciate your time, my man. Happy birthday to Lenny Kravitz.
Absolutely. I will talk to you soon, man.
Did you stress absolutely there because of the photograph?
Of course I did.
Absolutely. All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Talk to you soon, bud.
All right. On Nada's timeline, there's a picture of Lenny Kravitz turning 60.
Yeah.
And you go, 60?
Right. It's ridiculous. He's in a time capsule.
I haven't looked like that in 5 years.
Yeah.
No, I've never at any point have never looked like that. All right, when we come back, Brian Geisinger is going to break down the state win, what they need to do to make it 2 in a row in the tournament. We'll talk Carolina. We'll talk Duke. Brian Geisinger next.
Serving it up hot and fresh every day. Adam Gold on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Agriculture drives our local economy. I'm Lee Ivey, Director of the Agricultural Institute at NC State University, and we are looking for our next generation of leaders. If you want to make a difference and help feed the world, join us at the Ag Institute, where we grow successful graduates, productive futures, and rewarding lifestyles. We offer 2-year degrees and hundreds of internships. Learn more online by searching NC State Ag Institute. Deadline for fall enrollment is June 1st. 2 years, 1 degree, endless possibilities.
North Carolina, we are finally in it. FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, is officially live here in our great state. And right now, new customers get $250 in bonus bets guaranteed when you wager your first $5. That's right. Go to FanDuel.com, promo code AGS to sign up, and then you can bet on everything from the money line, who's going to win, total points, which team will cut the nets down, all on an app that is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Take the court with $250 in bonus bets, win or lose, when you make your first $5 wager. FanDuel.com, promo code AGS to get started. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. You must be 21 years of age and older and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Everyone goes through tough times, and everyone can get through them, as long as they don't have to do it alone. Dial 988 if you need someone to talk to. Get what you need to get to a better place. Together, we'll find the care that works best for you. We're here 24/7. Call, text, or chat 988. 988. Let's get through it together. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
This year, more than 600,000 people are eligible for coverage under the new Medicaid expansion program passed by the North Carolina State Legislature. This means that more people than ever before qualify for services. Brian Floyd is the Chief Operating Officer of ECU Health and discusses these issues on this month's Conversations on Healthcare podcast with the North Carolina Healthcare Association.
Rural communities are affected even more because people who don't have insurance will seek out care in the emergency department. We really want people to get Medicaid expansion, get to see a primary care doctor, and avoid the use of an emergency department that consumes those resources that might really be needed for true emergencies.
You can listen to the rest of this discussion on Conversations on the State of Healthcare podcast with the North Carolina Healthcare Association, wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Learn more about Medicaid expansion and other important healthcare issues at nchealthcare.org. That's nchealthcare.org.
During this sports season, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling to and from athletic events. Whether you are driving out of or across town, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. Start the season off right. Prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. Remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message is brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
Think earning a degree is out of reach? Well, if you're a North Carolinian from a household making $80,000 or less, it's time to think again. Because the new Next NC Scholarship could cover all of your tuition and fees at any of the 58 NC community colleges. Or at least half, if not all of your tuition and fees at one of the 16 public universities across the state. The best part? It doesn't have to be repaid. See if the Next NC Scholarship could be the opportunity for you and how simple it is to apply at nextncscholarship.org.
This is Adam Gold.
Is a hot dog a sandwich, Mike?
Is a pizza a sandwich then? It's bread with toppings and stuff?
When you fold it, yeah.
And it's a calzone.
And a calzone's a sandwich too.
Oh, goodness.
They're all under the sandwich umbrella. So is that a yes or a no?
That is a debate I will never embrace.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
The Adam Gold Show.
Brian Geisinger, my man. Pack Pride, 24/7 Sports. He's everywhere. Nobody knows more about basketball. Let's get smarter and talking about the game. And he joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Let's get into what NC State did last night. We'd probably be here a long time listing off the things they did well. But what really stood out to you against Texas Tech?
There's kind of a lot to choose from, like you said. I mean, they kind of blasted Texas Tech last night.
Kinda.
That was a pretty dominant two-way performance. The defense continues to really show up. They rebounded it well. I thought like solidly on both sides of the court. They continue to not, turn the ball over on offense, which has been a staple under Keats. But like really, as they've gone on this run the last week and change, that's really helped set like a high floor for the offense. Cannot say enough about Mo Diarra.
I know.
You don't have enough time to just go into it because like what he's doing is incredible. He's also shown out. Like I think we've been singing Diarra's praises all season for the most part. But my guess would be that there are probably some, whether they're my guess is some scouts he's landing on their radars more and more. Just sort of like with his rebounding, the defensive versatility. I loved what he did against Williams last night from Tech, who had a pretty good game, but Diarra sort of made him work for it. They didn't give up any easy switches like Tech wanted them to do, so they could get Williams matched up and posted up against some of NC State's guards. And I just thought his two-way play was pretty sensational. Hit a big catch-and-shoot three, got loose in transition. It feels like every transition possession for State, whether like they're out and running trying to score or they're trying to like get back and stop a secondary break or a fast break, it feels like Diarra is involved in every one of those. I don't know how he's summoning the energy for this, but he's been legitimately amazing, and the versatility defensively has been pretty special. And then Middlebrooks is one of those, like Ben Middlebrooks has this monster game last night.
Yeah.
After he had a great game against UVA, he's been really solid.
I love him.
He's probably a starter level center for the ACC. He just happens to be behind the guy in Burns. I thought his pick and roll screen defense was really good last night. He can kind of do everything. He can be up at the level. He can hedge. He can switch out in the pinch if you need him to. And then I think one of the other lessons with Middlebrooks is like if NC State's playing a team that's going to guard pick and roll by either putting two on the ball or by trying to ice and pin those ball screens on one side, and so that pocket of space is open in the middle, the Middlebrooks can be a real threat and a target because he makes good decisions with the ball. He's got touch in that short mid-range area. He can put the ball on the deck one or two times. Like he doesn't need to catch at the rim to get a finish. Like you can throw it to him 14 feet from the hoop in space,
right?
And he can make a play. And so he's a real weapon to have when they get to their spread pick and roll. And then DJ Horn, just the downhill drives, the spot up threes. I mean, he didn't have his best game last night, but his perimeter creation is like integral to what they're doing, and he gave it to him again last night.
Brian Geisinger is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Yeah, Diarra, Middlebrooks, Burns. I mean, State got good performance. I thought Michael O'Connell played a good game and didn't score a point. I thought, and defensively, what they did to Texas Tech by making the three ball much more difficult for them until Kerwin Walton hit two that screwed me in the over. But that's fine. But they literally what Texas Tech wanted to do, State made that. Yes, they missed some, but I've always said the good defense is cumulative. They made Tech really fight for anything they wanted to get.
Yeah, I mean, and again, like that's basically been the trend since the Louisville game. Again, Syracuse, Duke, Virginia, UNC, like Texas Tech, they just stacked up 5 really good defensive performances. And like that stuff travels. When you play defense like that, nothing State's doing offensively is fluky or anything. It's not like State's, I mean, maybe Michael O'Connell shot above his head a little bit from three in DC, but it's not like State's having some game where they just come out, launching threes and they make a bunch of them. And like State's offense, like they've got a formula. It's working.
Mm-hmm.
They play through the two DJs, if they're going to post up, Burns, pick and roll or motion stuff, it's Horn. And then defensively, like especially when Diarra and Middlebrooks are out there flying around, and they're so versatile and they can cover a ton of ground.
Mm-hmm.
State's being anchored by two really good defenders. Diarra had 2 more blocks last night.
Yep.
I think the rim protection for him has continued to be good. And then Casey Morcell, who was an excellent guard defender last season, I thought was like solid for most of the year. I think his defense has been really good during this run. I thought it was great again last night. And State's got a bunch of guys that just compete guarding ball screens and chasing guys off of screens, which like they're going to need that against Oakland, because they're going to need someone to follow around their shooters. So some guys are going to have to step up and be ready to run through a bunch of screens tomorrow night.
Well, they sort of just came off of that, so maybe they're honed in. Isaacs and Toussaint combined for 2 of 17 from 3-point range. All right, about the matchup with Oakland, they were 15 of 31. One kid hit 10. It's hard to even process all of that. How do you approach guard? You have to make them 2-point shooters, right?
You can try. I mean, I don't know if you're going to be able to do that with Golke from Oakland, who's taken just 8 twos all season compared to 347 threes.
Wait a second. He's attempted 8 2-point shots all year?
Yes, and 347 threes. So, you would like to put him up, like try to make him, put the ball in the deck. But, like, he is tough to run off the 3-point line because, I watched between late last night and very early this morning, I watched the Kentucky-Oakland film. And, look, Kentucky had some breakdowns for sure. And Oakland's running, cool actions to get him open for 3. They run, I think, more elevator door screens than any team I've seen. Probably 10 or 12 of them alone in the first half of that game. But also just he hit some tough shots. Rob Dillingham or Reed Shepherd are right there contesting his a good contest, and he just sort of fades away a little bit more. He's got just enough size, and obviously the range is impressive too. So he was on one last night, and Kentucky did not do an amazing job. I thought sort of tracking him off screens. He got lost a few times. But he also hit a couple shots where the defense was pretty good. The contest was good. And he's tough. And State might have to live with that too at times, where he's just going to hit a ridiculous 3 from 27 feet out. And you got to try to keep chipping away, because it does feel like Oakland is the team that you don't want to you want to be able to trust your process and not get discouraged, because the way they play defense, this sort of weird 1-3-1 matchup zone, which I would need to see more of to sort of figure out quite exactly how it works. But Kentucky tried a bunch of different stuff against it last night. Some stuff worked and they still missed shots. I'll be curious to see how State handles that. Do they try to overload? Do they flash Burns to the nail? Do they flash Morcell to the nail? Can they post up Burns against that? Can they get him out of zone into the matchup look, then post up? There's lots of questions that State's going to have to figure out on a pretty short runway here. A team like Oakland's tough to play in a tournament on a quick turnaround because they shoot a ton of threes.
Right.
And because they've got this weird defense that you got to figure out. I think it's why a team like Oregon gets kind of tough too, because they've got this weird hybrid zone that they play too. But hey, at this point, State, you got to think you'd rather see Oakland than Kentucky. In the way State's playing defensively, if they can keep that up, they've certainly got a great chance to get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a pretty simple formula. You hope to be able to just get it to Burns or Diarra or Middlebrooks inside, because there's not a lot of size. for Oakland. It's pretty. They're a bunch of small guys. Even their best forward, who's their leading scorer, is only 6'6". So hopefully Burns and those guys stay out of foul trouble, and they can be effective inside and just kill them, with death by paper cut or something like that. And get to the free throw line, which is what they're doing. I love the fact that they don't rely on the three. They can shoot it, but they don't rely on it. And I think it gives you a lot of options when we get to the NCAA tournament. Let me throw this real quick. Carolina kind of a little slow in the first half, had a nice lead, but nothing earth-shattering, and then crank up the pressure and just wore out Wagner?
Yeah, it certainly seemed like that. I mean, ultimately, this looks like a totally fine, result for 1 versus 16 seed. I continue to be like a little. I think we talked about this maybe last week or in previous weeks. Like it was a tough game for Elliot Cadeau yesterday. 0 of 2 shooting, 4 turnovers in 18 minutes, and they don't really have like a shooter to bring off the bench necessarily to sort of like bolster that. Like they have good lineup versatility at UNC, but like it is a little limited. And we'll see if that ends up being like at this point it's just something to monitor. I think game to game for them. Cadeau's really good. Like he's had a good season. Incredible passer. His drives are really important to them. But he kind of has a target on him in terms of like who can you help off of? How can you defend him? I thought State really took advantage of that in the tournament championship game. So I'm not too worried about that for UNC. Like they've problem solved around that all year. And have a very, very good offensive team, top 20 offense. It does sort of go to show you, like, the shooting of R.J. Davis can solve a lot of, simplifies things pretty easily when you have a guy like that can shoot like that off the catch and off the dribble.
All right, let's get to Duke before we have to say goodbye to Brian Geisinger at bgeis_bird. Vermont's a really good defensive team. They make you work for everything. Duke has not shown the compete level that their head coach wants them to show the last couple of games. They have no other option tonight, no?
Yeah, I mean, it really is, now or never. You don't want to dip too hard into the bag of cliches here. But I would say a team like Duke that's going to have, a size advantage here, certainly a big talent advantage. Like, they could very easily put the last 2 games, the UNC and the State game behind them pretty quickly if they just come out and sort of just like dominate Vermont, and go ahead and just get on to the next round. Which I think if they do that, I think it would be Wisconsin or James Madison. I think they get the winner of that. So like, I don't know. I just hope for Duke's sake, I hope the offense looks good. They haven't played in a while. And the news yesterday, no Caleb Foster for the rest of the tournament. That was no real surprise. He's been out since the loss in Winston to Wake. I've brought this up, I think, twice now on the show. Like, I feel like his loss hasn't been talked about enough. Like, he's a 40% 3-point shooter. Mm-hmm. He's another ball handler. He operates pick and roll. His drives have been good for them this season. So like, I don't know. Like, he's a guy that it's tough. You lose a 6'4" point guard like that can do a bunch offensively and is like an okay defender. It's tough, but they'll just need the guys to step up and hopefully, Filipowski get the offense running through him, get Jared McCain coming off screens, and go to get to the 2-man game with Proctor and Flip and with Roach and Flip.
Yeah, because all year long Duke's been a 3-guard team, and when you're missing Caleb Foster, you don't have. I mean, I guess they could use Jalen Blakes, right, coming off the bench, and he would be their first guard off the bench. But John doesn't seem like that's what he wants to do. So they're bringing, whether it's usually Sean Stewart, right? Somebody like that is coming off the bench. In certain situations, they're using TJ Power, right?
Yeah.
Ryan Young is kind of, his minutes have almost always been Filipowski, Mitchell foul trouble dependent of late, which is fair because Ryan Young doesn't really make a huge difference in most cases. But in a game like tonight, you would think that Young would be a plus because Vermont isn't going to bring a ton of size and resistance inside. It should be a game much like State versus Oakland that if Duke does it right, get to the rim, get to the free throw line, and not necessarily rely on the three. But if the threes come, doesn't this really all boil down to Jeremy Roach?
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like, well, at least like beyond this game, assuming Duke continues to advance, just Roach's his shot making, the 2-man game with Filipowski, how useful that is. They're just going to need Roach, as he's done before in multiple postseason venues now. He's going to have to get into his bag a little bit and bust up a bunch of different coverages and he's capable of doing that, obviously. So yeah, I do think Roach, this is a big opportunity for him. He's a senior guard at Duke, all ACC type player, and he's proven in the postseason. You just kind of got to do it again, and they've got methods to get him going. The 2-man stuff with Flip is pretty bankable. But I do think you got it. Just as far as Vermont, you were talking about their defense, they're tough. This is one of the best defensive rebounding teams in the country. Top 10 in defensive rebounding rate. They don't foul much. Obviously, Duke is a different kind of monster. This is not UMBC or NJIT. This is a different talent level and size to contend with. But basically they take care of the small things on the defensive end. And it'd just be interesting to see if Duke can sort of reverse some of those trends, get to the line, put them in foul trouble, and also can guys like Flip and Mitchell and maybe Young or Stewart off the bench kind of get going on the glass as well.
I haven't asked you this, but as I say goodbye, did you pick a Final Four?
So I did not, but that is because the bracket that I do, which is with a group of dentists up in Michigan.
Wait. Hold on a second. You do a bracket with a group of dentists in Michigan.
Some of them may be retired now.
That's fine.
It's with my godfather.
It's fine. No, it's good.
Michigan State fan.
You don't have to explain it. I just wanted to get that on the record.
Yeah, but we do it round by round style.
Okay.
Which is nice because you're not, if you have a bad day or whatever in the first round, it's okay. You're not out of it. And the further you go into it, the more weighted each round is. So it's kind of nice because you don't have to just freak out about worrying about everything going down the tube the first day. So I don't have a Final Four. If I had to predict one though, it would be very, very chalky. It would be UConn, Houston, Arizona or UNC, and I don't know about the Midwest. I mean, that does kind of feel wide open. So.
I basically picked what I want to see happen. Although I'm kind of a hybrid. I don't want to watch Purdue play basketball, so I picked them to lose in the second round. I have no interest in watching them play. Brian Geisinger, you're the best, man. I appreciate your time as always at bgeis_bird. We will talk to you soon.
Yep, take it easy, guys.
You got it. Brian Geisinger here on the Adam Gold Show. Here's why did I pick? If I was doing this bracket with my what I wanted,
right?
Why did I not pick State even to beat Kentucky? Because I had both State and Kentucky winning, and I picked Kentucky. I don't really have any interest in watching Kentucky play.
No,
I don't really like Kentucky.
I think most people want to pick Kentucky.
My bad. I should have picked. I should have picked NC State. Northwestern has advanced. They won in overtime over Florida Atlantic. So I'm 0 for 1 so far today. Yeah, exactly.
Happy Friday, by the way.
It is. We waited till the end of the show to hit me with that on the way out.
I snuck it in.
All right, we got to go. A lot of basketball, hockey tonight. Canes in Washington. Victoria, thank you. Happy birthday on Sunday.